Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined. Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Hey, peace and blessings, family. Welcome back to another edition of Politics in the Black. Okay, so today I'm joined by some sisters and a brother. Hopefully, another brother be joining us soon to talk about some political topics, issues that affect our various communities. And first, I'm going to start with people introducing themselves. And so I'm going to start with you, Sister J. Tell us a little bit about who you are.
Okay, so I'm Javon Muhammad. I live in San Francisco currently. I have worked in healthcare and some aspect of healthcare for the last decades, mostly as a midwife and now as a healthcare administrator. I run a very large mental health organization, and I am happy to be here to talk about our community and the differences in our community.
Right on. What about you, Sister Michelle?
My name is Michelle Gale, and I am a community activist. I am a part of Answer and Peace Action. I also have a nonprofit that is geared towards sports and mentoring kids and adults with disabilities. And we teach them how to read. We also teach them the importance of good sportsmanship. We're getting ready to start off. So if you guys know anybody with disabilities, we're taking applications, and track season starts next week. And you can contact me. I'll give my link to Valanda.
Please, and I can share that too. So please, any links you want to give me, put it into the comments, and I can share those as well. What about you, Sister Kelly? You are?
You said, what was the question? I'm sorry.
Just who you are. Intro.
Oh, loud. But no, I'm just a person just trying to be an entrepreneur and just trying to stand for something, don't fall for anything, and just make sure that I just deliver and be the best woman that I can be.
Right on. Brother Keon, could you send a link to Brother Darius? I just sent it, but I see if you have an email for him.
I do, but I'm not on my computer. I'm on
You're
my
not?
phone,
Don't worry
and I
about it.
don't want.
So I want you to do the intro, then I can send him an invite. All
All
right.
right, peace,
Go ahead.
families, peace. My name is Keon Johnson, brother Keon in my village, in my community. I'm a father, self-described community village hand. I plug in as needed, where needed. Professionally, I work in education and community. Currently, I work with fathers in the child welfare system. Um, Pretty much that's it. Oh, also, I have a newly formed nonprofit, YMO, Yours, Mine, Ours, where I work with Black families, youth, men, to try to figure out how we can best resolve our own issues, understanding we are our own resource. So,
All right. All right. Thank you for that, Brother Keon.
thank
So,
you.
family, I'm going to show this image real quick because when I think of Black people in politics, I think of all of this. So there's Shirley Chisholm, and revolutionary people, Black Republicans, Black political thought, young Black activists, all of that and more. I probably on people I don't even have, but I think about just all of these variations of us. So when you think about all of us like that, having Joe Biden as president, has that changed or elevated anything in the Black communities in the United States?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Could you expound on that?
Yeah. To date, 400 plus years later, outside of our own strides and accomplishments, nothing politically has elevated. Do I want to say that? In terms, yeah, nothing politically has elevated us as a whole. We've made strides, yes. We broke some ceilings, yes. But in general and as a whole, I don't think that too much politically. I think it's really on the individuals who's been putting in the work, and making those strides has done that in our favor as a community. But I don't think, especially Biden, nah, nothing has changed, and that has not elevated our status. Even though he had a sister running with him, I don't even see her no more. I haven't seen her in a long
Wait a
time.
minute, you related to the vice president?
Am I related?
You said you have is a sister.
Oh,
She
I said a
related to you?
sister. She's a Black woman. She's a Black
Yes?
woman.
I didn't know
she
that.
might not.
I didn't know
She
that.
might listen. She might not. She might not act like me and my siblings. But if I saw her in the world, I would say, "How you doing, sister?" If I didn't know who she was and so on, so I saw her in the world, I say, "How you doing, sister?" So I don't got no Black.
I just asking to Keon. That's that nuances. But go ahead, Jay.
She ran as a Black candidate, right? So when you say is Biden doing what he should be doing, has he advanced us? I think it depends on what you're looking for. I think we could have some Black folks here that would say, yes, I'm excited about Biden because the things that are important to me are A, B, and C. So for me, Biden has not done anything to further the cause of my community. In fact, I think he's done more to hurt the ability for us to be responsible and accountable for community. I think I'm not politically, not that there's one side that's doing too much better morally than the other, but politically, I definitely don't lean liberal. And I believe that, and I'm not a Democrat, and I believe that, sadly, for me, the Democratic platform has become one of throwing money at problems and band-aiding them instead of digging down and getting to the source of a problem. I watched Biden in his last two presentations, and the entire presentation, no lie, was like, this illness is happening in the country. So we're going to give $5 billion to this. And this is happening. So we're going to give $7 billion to this. But there was no solution. There was no peeling back of the onion to say the cause of this illness in the States is this. And, you know, maybe it might be some sacrifice, but this is how we create better community. This is how we create safer community. I watched him last week give a speech about jobs and really boast about wanting to make sure jobs stayed in America. And this is something new because in my experience, the Democratic Party has not wanted to appear as nationalist. And when you think of America first, which is what you do when you say made in America and jobs in America, because smart people want to survive first before they can save anyone else, then we've been known in recent times to label that as nationalism. Trump did that. I'm not a Trump supporter per se, but he did do that. And when he did that, he was labeled a nationalist. But when the time has got to this point, Biden could say that, and it would be looked at as a good thing, as if it's been something that they've been doing in the last 2 decades, and they haven't. We used to have union members in our families. We used to have people who manufactured things. These people have given the jobs away to other countries and brought in robots to do the jobs of people. And now they want to seem like, you know, America first. I think the platform has been ridiculous. And I think we're in such a spot now where we many of us don't even know what we want. And those of us who do, if it doesn't seem like the opinion of the mainstream, then they're ostracized or looked at as, you know, whatever. We label people so a TERF, a Smurf, whatever the new label is for the people who don't believe what the mainstream believes.
Wow. We was joined by Brother Darius. How you doing, Brother Darius?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you for joining us.
Hello, everybody. How y'all doing?
The first question that we were posing was, how do we feel about Joe Biden's job? Since the last time Black folks were talking politics, it was like, we got to get rid of Trump. And we're so afraid. And so, you know, he's been in. How is he doing for the various communities that we represent? Because one of the things we're clear on is that Black people are variations. So, you know, one group of Black folks are probably very excited that he's in there because they still got a job. Exactly. Then some Black people's like, I hate this fool because he's just messing up the program. So how do you think he's doing?
Well, if our primary objective for voting was to get Trump out, he's doing a great job because he won. But other than that, I mean, I don't think anybody that voted for him that I know expected any more than he's done, or her for that matter. I think Black folks had a real hard decision to make to get rid of somebody who we knew was toxic for the country in favor of somebody who we knew wasn't going to do anything. And I don't see where he has done anything for Black people. And I don't think that was ever his intention. I think that when they were asked the hard questions, even during the debates, they didn't say anything or offer anything that we could say was tangible or something that we could benefit from. If anything, they created a little divisiveness for people who had thoughts about what we should get other than what was the popular thing. Like, I just felt like going into that, anytime somebody potentially jeopardized his presidency, his ability to get into office, we kind of jumped on that person and was like, well, we need to get this person out of here so bad that whatever he's going to do, or even if he's going to do nothing, it's better than what we have right now. And I don't agree with that. I think they're doing a horrible job. I think that the way that they've handled everything, I don't think it's unifying at all. I think it's very divisive for us as a people, and I don't see where the conditions changed at all, me personally.
Wow.
And I did vote for him. I voted for them. I felt like I had to. It was either not vote at all or vote for them. And so I chose to vote for him. I'm getting what I voted for.
Well, you know, you could have voted for Jill Stein. You could have voted for somebody else. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you.
And I know I could have.
I'm messing with you. What about you, Kelly or Michelle?
I did vote for Jill Stein.
I did too. Because I thought it didn't matter because it's California. It didn't matter.
I'm not a Republican nor a Democrat, and the sad thing is, I remember, a lot of people. It was like the young man just said, to piggyback on what he said, we were really scared and wanting Trump out of there because we were just tired of the rhetoric. We've forgotten about old Uncle Joe and the stuff that he spilled in the 90s and his crime bill and how many Black men he sent to prison. And, and then forwarded to the day, all of the money that he cut from the HBCUs. He doesn't care about the education. You look at that factor if he cares so much about us. And then, you look at Kamala Harris, she's silent. And it seems like Joe Manchin is running the business. I mean, hey, all skin folks ain't kinfolk.
I'm just messing with Keon. So that's your sister, Keon.
That's a sister.
But we're in trouble. We are in trouble as people. We're in trouble, and this is for the first time I'm like panicking because I got, a younger generation. And I'm the matriarch, and I'm like, what are we going to do? Because we don't have enough food. So this is serious stuff. Do we have enough food on hand? Because at some grocery stores, the shelves are empty under Joe Biden. The shelves on the grocery stores are empty. The supplies ships are still in the harbor. This makes no sense. We can go on and on about what's wrong, but as a community of people, I'm like, are we prepared? Because one thing I do, I talk to all these white folks. They got piles of food, stockpiles of, stuff to unalive people.
Unalive people.
Yeah, and we're just sitting ducks.
Well, today there was a report about the poor white people. So all white people ain't like that. Supposedly there's supposed to be this whole nation of poor white people. I haven't met a lot of them, but I'm pretty sure they probably exist. Maybe in West Virginia,
in Louisiana. What sticks out, because I lived in rural Louisiana and a lot of them are there. But the comment what sticks out to me is, I didn't hear you yet, Kelly, but I'm gonna make the assumption from what I heard is that we're a group of people who don't really approve of Biden. And then to hear the choice being no choice at all, like just the choice to get Donald Trump out because he was this awful person, it makes me wonder, because I think we follow narratives, and I can't think of one thing Trump did that affected my life. I saw a lot of things about him, but I will say this. To me, it's crazy when people say that Joe Biden liberated us, again, because he actually did things to us. Like Michelle shared, he actually supported a crime bill. He actually was part of the super predator rhetoric, right? He actually was part of defunding things. Trump might have talked about what he was going to do and sounded very ignorant and stupid when he talked about it, but he did not do those things. So we voted against the person who talked a lot of stuff and for a person who actually did things to us. And I have not been able to reconcile that to this day, because I think the one thing that Trump made us realize is that we got to be together, because we might have to eat together, because we were reminded of who we're dealing with, and that it doesn't matter what face they put in that office, we've always been for the same thing and never achieved it. So what would it matter to me as a person? I would have rather continued under the energy of build instead of waiting for Joe to talk about stimulus checks and all of the other foolishness that keeps us distracted, instead of talking about building the country, fairness and economics, morality, with just values. To me, Joe supports a narrative of nothing, no boundaries, the increase of mental health, the reason why people are losing their mind, the decline of what was supposed to be the American dream that we have yet to quite realize. So I get confused when people say, you know, Trump was this awful person, when we literally elected a man that hurt us, and we are still paying for the repercussions of the prison industrial system because of this man.
Yeah, I'm with Kanye.
Okay.
But I want to veggie back on what Javon was saying just a little bit, because I agree with that, right? I didn't particularly care for 45. You know, if anything, you know, his rhetoric I found very entertaining. He was like the funniest comedian we had for 4 years. And he was. I genuinely had gut busting moments like, this guy is, you know, and he's president. So I enjoyed that in terms of the presidency. But you're right, though. He talked a lot. And he did identify himself. Oftentimes you say, Rolando, I prefer to have the person my open enemy and know that it's my enemy than the person who's fronting in my face. And I believe we had that with 45 versus Biden. I really do.
What about you, Sister Kelly? I see you pop back in. So I know you're dealing with some technical difficulties. Kelly? Okay. You there?
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I had my breathing in the background.
All right. So what about you? What was your thoughts?
Is it mine or is it, what is it?
Okay, I think she working out her technical difficulties. Yes? She gonna try it again, y'all, because I think she's really trying to work this out. So while she's working on her working through her technical difficulties. So with that being said, Javon, you hit on something really big, and I feel like maybe it's time for us to reflect on what the next strategy should be for the community, which you're concerned with, that want to get ahead. Because under the Biden administration, some people did get some things immediately, because you could see the worth, like how they treated the Haitians, told you very much how they felt about your black bud, and how they treat Asians showed you how much they value them, how they treat, you know, the alphabet people, how they treat. So I think there's some very glaring things. But I don't know if presentation or representation is the answer that Black folks should be looking for. I don't know. What do you think?
Are you asking me?
Anybody?
I just feel like until we find a core group of Black folks that are willing to do the work consistently, we're just gonna be in the state of not being able to accomplish anything, because as soon as a small group comes up, they find another group to tear that group down. Like, we spend more time arguing over issues that are not going to stop us or hold us back, and when it comes time to really talk about the issues that are going to move us forward, we can't get a collective group of people together long enough to see that through. And that's the part that we've been through all of this. We've been through all of this and we're still not together. Like, what else has to happen to us as a people?
So I don't disagree. I guess I'm trying to figure out. Well, that's what I'm asking. Because through history, we have had groups, organizations who've done things, and then it's normally torn down from within. I know we want to put these outside forces, but the outside forces can't do nothing without the inside forces. It just doesn't work.
Right.
So my thing is, but it doesn't mean we stop trying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what next? Like, we know they get ready to start coming back lined again, because this fool wants to get back in there for 4 more dead years. But how can we respond? Like, can we ever bet on just the enemy, because we know that we can get the job done under the enemy, because you know this person is your enemy? Like, can we ever have a strategy like that? Or it's like it's too fearful for us to think we may have to do some damn work for real? Now you muted. Yeah.
I don't know.
Go ahead, brother.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead, bro.
when 45 came into office, it was weird, you know, because you have this dude who's been in economics and on television and entertainment for so long. But what I did think was having, you know, from hearing him in the primaries and, you know, the debates and all that stuff, I figured, okay, here we go. We got this clown in office. He's gonna cause us to come together, right? Just by his mere presence occupying the Oval Office, the White House, I thought that in itself would cause Black people, the majority of Black people, or enough of us, to come together and, you know, figure out what our agenda is, what our focus is, what do we really want. And it didn't happen. I will say this: I'm afraid of whatever it's gonna take for us to whatever it is going to take for us to advance and push and move. It's going to be something catastrophic. I thought, you know, 45 was catastrophic enough that his mere presence, again, that his presence and, you know, just the person that he was going to cause us to figure out what we need to do. But I think anything after this is gonna shake the earth. It's gonna shake the foundations.
Keon, go ahead.
I think the masses of Black people need to break out of all parties. Like, I think for people to have to present a platform to us, we have to not be loyal to any one platform. So right now, the way it works and the way it has worked is the Democratic Party has known. I've been in so many meetings recently. I talked to you, Ro, after one of them, when I had to tell a whole group of Black people that I will not canvass, you know, for this governor, the recall. I'm not going to canvass. Like, I don't even feel comfortable selling a platform. First of all, I'm not that platform, and I don't feel comfortable bringing young voters into that platform because our mothers and fathers and our grandparents pledged blindly to the Democratic Party. And we do that. And now they have meetings and they talk about our vote without talking about what they need to do for us. It's just a given. And until we say, and mean, not just say, but until we mean and we show them what we can do, that we will vote for the person who has our best interest and who addresses us and sees us, then the same thing will happen. There's conversations that Biden and them are having right now about they don't even talk about the possibility of the Black vote leaving them. It's a voting group that they have, but they have to convince these other groups because they know they will vote either way. There's not as much loyalty. So for me, if voting is going to be the thing that we stick to, which is only part of the solution for our problem, right? Voting. Then we have to pull back and we have to say, we don't have no loyalty to none. In the same way you didn't have loyalty to us, let us show you what we can do, because we will go any direction if we talk about voting. But then we have to follow with voting as if we don't care and push our economic agenda among us. You know, just among, like, we gonna have to eat whether or not it's Trump in office or Biden. Neither one of them are feeding us. You know, we struggled under both. So at the end of the day, we got to pull back and still create without them and still govern ourselves and our communities without them, because we cannot continue to expect some people to care for us who never have. And they damn sure won't if we don't come up with, or if they're not afraid to lose our vote. They never will.
Wow.
I'm in agreement.
That was, you know.
Me too. I was talking to someone before I got on. They were talking about the school closures up in Oakland. And, you know, very passionate discussion about what that looks like for our kids and stuff like that. And it just made me think to myself, like, if we were in the spirit of the Black Panthers and they start talking about closing schools down in Oakland, I think the Black Panthers would be licking their chops, because it's like, okay, put those kids out there and we'll find some way. We'll find a way to educate them. And I think it's that ownership that the sister was talking about. We have to take ownership of these things. Like it's a perfect moment. If you're closing schools down in a city like Oakland, and we're worried about that educational system for those kids, those kids, and we educate our kids again. Like we don't need someone to come in and educate our kids. We have enough skilled people to impart knowledge and wisdom on our kids at all levels, and we can take control of them, and we can take control of that part of our community, so that we are preparing people the way the sister's talking about, because that's where it is. We don't have a vehicle for preparation, and because we don't have a vehicle for preparation, when we're in these moments where we can actually seize the moment, we don't have a vehicle to do anything about it. And so pulling back, definitely, but also taking ownership when we pull back, so that we step into what our purpose is supposed to be.
I just want to say one more thing about that. I got to say this. So I teach a class at Bastyr University, and we were talking last week, and everybody was like, the critical race theory, and you know how Florida took a vote last week, and you know basically you can't even talk about Black history there. Like, it is really an austere law. And I had, while they were all panicking, I sat for a moment and I said, why do we get so distracted? Like, let's think 3 years ago, right? We didn't have, there was a term critical race theory, but we didn't talk about it on the regular in the public, right? But if you would have came to our community 3 years ago, the conversation would have sounded something like, they don't teach Black history at school. They don't teach us about us. You know, my children go there and they don't learn nothing. They got one blurb about slavery. That would have been our conversation 3-5 years ago. But all of a sudden, with the critical race theory talk, we want to act like they've been teaching about us. And Lord, they don't want to teach the truth about when they ain't never been teaching about us. But we get distracted. All the media has to do is to get a narrative and put it out there. Find some Black allies that want to talk about it, usually academics that's not even in touch with what we're talking about in the hood. And then we all start saying, they don't even want us to teach critical race theory, as if that was ever a thing. But we continue to send our children to their schools and then be upset with the product that we get back. I agree so much with what you just said, but I also think we have to put that out there. Like, we got to stop following this narrative of and keep our eyes on the prize. Like, if we know that food, clothing, and shelter is important, and we know we got to educate our own babies, then we could just start there, because we learned from the management of this COVID pandemic that food, clothing, and shelter is going to be a thing. And when it becomes a thing, we going to have to depend on our neighbors and our community. Just like Michelle said, you know, growing food and giving food away. Like, if we didn't learn anything else, we should have learned that. Like, you could be locked in your house, you know, and there could be no toilet paper. How are you going to manage? Just that.
Right. Do you know how to use grass to wipe your ass? but that's fact though, right? And I think until we get to the point of understanding that the name of the game is always do for self. The name of the game is always do for self. American politics has never suited us, right? It has never suited. We've never been on the end game. God bless the times, you know, the earlier portions of history that we got a little seat to the table. And again, those things were a little progressive. There were little tokens, but in essence, you know, we're talking about, again, 400 plus years later. Here we are still complaining, still, you know, not satisfied, and we shouldn't be. But I think a lot of it gets to the point where we just got to do for self. And it doesn't matter to your politics. It doesn't matter to the party. It's really about doing for self. Again, nothing has changed under any presidency. Even when we had Barack Obama, it was good to see him in there. It was good to see a Black family in there, a Black woman in there. But in essence, I mean, I was done with him when he wouldn't pardon Garvey. That right there was like, all right, you know.
When he didn't do what?
When he didn't pardon Garvey.
Oh.
You know, he didn't pardon Garvey. That was another thing right there. So again, the Republican Democratic argument is not forced. Are we going to create our own party? Or are we going to, just do what we need to do as a people to survive?
That's what
It's amazing because we some of the coldest players on the planet, and we just refuse to play this system the way that we play everything else. Refuse to do it. So we can very easily play this game in between these parties, in between these political concepts and constructs, the way that we do life every day, and we just refuse to do it. And it's like we have a mental block against going for self.
Do you think is that we are just afraid to self-govern?
You know what? I think sometimes so much that they distract us with. Look at all the problems that they throw. They throw so many things at us that they keep us mentally distracted. And if it ain't that, then we'll relax. Most Americans, they just want they smoke their weed or have their beer and watch their Sunday night football, or, be on some sort of social media. And then they throw so many things at you to keep us distracted and separated.
I don't think we like each other. I really just don't think we like and love each other. I think there are pockets of us that have learned to be together and to build. But as a people, I just don't think we love each other like that. And I don't know if we love ourselves enough to love each other. Because that's a root of it seems to be the biggest problem.
That's true.
I think you're correct. Because I don't think we're one people. And I think every time we say us as a group, you lose immediately. Because then you have another group to be like, no, I'm transgender and I'm fighting for those rights right now. And then another group be like, I'm biracial and I'm in all of these worlds. Like anything that be like, I will not be responsible. But yet when you go to the group that you hyphenated with, you can't show up with your black stuff. Because then you'll complain that you can't do that.
But Ro, I do think that we could be disciplined enough to so I manage a large organization as Asian. It was developed years ago to serve the Asian community. They can be a whole bunch of different things, but when they call a plumber, they call it Asian plumber. You know what I mean? It's part of the culture. When they go buy groceries, they go to an Asian grocery store. I'm generalizing, but you know what I mean? And they have differences. For some reason, we can't get over the dislike enough to say we still need each other for survival. You know what I mean? Like we might dislike each other, but until we start winning, it doesn't matter. We learned even with, President Obama, like as long as your people are messed up, you still looked at as a nigga. You know what I mean? Like we gotta be together. And so we gotta figure out how to have the transgender people or this community, they need to figure out how to also come to the center and get rid of that distraction, because it is distraction that keeps telling them you something else. Well, we don't want it. We're not, that's not the conversation we're having. We still gotta go and meet up in the same place to make sure we all eating. That other stuff is a byproduct. And so for me, when I look at conversations that are happening in other communities, they have disagreements, but they still understand the economics of it. And they're still going to show up in, and shop in their community, or understand that they got to call, or they should be calling services from that community. It's something that they grow up with. And I think I've grown up hearing this conversation, but we still talking about it.
So they know where their oneness is at, right? They might be different and all this other stuff, but they do understand where their oneness is. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Right. And that's how I feel about it.
Why do you think we can't do that? Like, why? Because if we're gonna make that comparison, why is it that Black people don't see themselves in the oneness?
I think we're not allowed to do it. From other people and from ourselves. Like I had to tell, in my last week's class, we're reading the book is on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the whole damn book is like, of course it's teaching the truth, right? But then there's this kind of pity that comes with it. And so the other people in the class, come up with solutions that keep us from being accountable or keep us from being great or from having expectations. And so then we sitting in the energy like, woe is me, because this happened. Yes, it did happen. We have to sit with it. We have to honor it. But we have to get up and change it too. And to get up and change it for many of us is difficult, because you can't even get through a conversation. If we would have a conversation about, I'm trying to think of an example. It would be like, well, I can't do that because white man did this and slavery and this day and this day and this day. Like, dude, do you want to eat or not? You know what I mean? Like this, I don't want to hear all that. But it's almost impossible in many environments to have a conversation where we can get past that and we can talk about straight competition and straight accountability. Like, we got to internalize, embrace, and understand or overstand what happened to us, but that should be making us great. It shouldn't be making us weak. It shouldn't be making us dependent. It should be making us great. And until we can be great and we can understand that all that happened to us dictates, it mandates that we have to be in unity, that we have to do these things, then we'll keep struggling. And we're going to have to give on some things and recognize some of the wisdom of the elders. We got this division where we don't want to follow a program because, this person got us distracted with this person got us distracted with this. But the success in a lot of those other communities is being connected to a tradition and some elders. And even if that's not who you are, you know how to be that when you're in that energy. And we struggle with that because we always trying to prove we different. You mentioned that, but we really, really struggle with accountability and just saying I was wrong, I'm lazy, I'm this, I need that, I got to do better.
Yeah. And individualism, man. Thank you, Javon. And even that, and that speaks to us, the I, the me's, and the my's, right? I always say, no matter what our differences, no matter how we bump heads in the house, we go outside, it's still us, right? We're still oneness. What's going on right now is that individualism, right? Which is other identity politics. Well, I this, well, I that, well, I this. Garvey said, the fall of us is going to be that individualism. And I'm starting to see that right now, because that's where those intersectionalities show up. Well, I don't need this. Well, my family is this. Well, it's only us. It don't matter how you slice it, until we really come to understand that all we ever had was we was always in this together. And what happens, the little freer we get, right? That collective freedom, we start taking our individual freedoms, right? And those individual freedoms and those individual advancements is really what's cutting us off from each other. Because when we didn't have shit, we was in it together. Mm-hmm. And you could have been a gay slave, but I bet you we was like this. You could have been a grease, you know what I mean? It was almost out. But now that those little chains come off, quote unquote, everybody want to run their own route, and we still supposed to be looking at the North Star.
Exactly. I grew up in Mississippi, and even though it was supposed to be segregated at the time I grew up, it was still not segregated. And at that particular time, I was fortunate enough to see Black success. Businessmen in our community that you can go to and get an honest labor for your car. Somebody who wouldn't cheat you, someone who cut your hair, insurance man who came to save your clothes. We thrived. And I can remember living next door to the doctor, the Black doctor that we had, having a Black theater, and we thrived. And we really did. And our dollars circulated in that little small town. It circulated in our community at least about 80 times before it left. And that was destroyed when segregation came along. So that's something to think about. And all the communities that came before, where we would have been with generational wealth if they hadn't been burnt down. I think all of this is a plot and a plan, and we just be victims and fall into it. When are we going to stop being victims? And a lot of us don't even know, because it's so diabolical, the things that they set us up for. Look at our children. Look at what's happening in Chicago, not only Chicago, and Sacramento. So you look at the things that, it's diabolical, these tricks and these traps. I mean, we just got to stop trying to be victims and look at us, it's enough of us here. And I know we know all like-minded people. So each one teach one.
All right. Kelly, did you want to say something? So you've been sitting there so patiently. I don't know if you're still driving or.
No, I've been listening. Just listening.
Okay, I hear you sound. So okay. So y'all said a lot of things in that. I think that Javon, you said something that to me trumps individualism and collective is accountability. You can't build with people who aren't accountable in a collective. You cannot. And when you were giving your example, Michelle, about how our communities, I'm from Philadelphia, same thing. But when Black people stopped being accountable, that's when people had to start going for self by themselves.
Exactly.
You can't drag people with you if you're not accountable. If you said, I'm gonna bring this amount, and then you show up and you got an excuse why you didn't bring yours, why should I have to break to share with you when you didn't think enough to bring your part?
Exactly.
That's the Black community. Now, I'm not trying to be funny.
No, we put that
all day. Not all of us, but when we see Black people going for self, and I mean going at it alone, this not because they're being individual and they're being selfish. It's because I'm tired of trying to carry lazy ass people. I'm tired of people with 50 excuses. The same way you got to eat, I got to eat. The same way I had to sacrifice to make sure I had something, you should have been sacrificing. But most of the time, you wanted to have a good time and you wanted to feel good and you wanted to do this looking like I'm successful. So you spent all your money on stuff that depreciated. Nobody made you do it. That's that hard part. Nobody made you sell drugs in your community. Nobody made you impregnate 10 women. And can't pay for one of those children. Nobody did that. No plan did that. You did that. And that's hard because that's that part about you being an individual, with human being with free will. Nobody made you do that. That's something you wanted to do. Because maybe you wanted to feel good. So instead of you saying, hey, you know what? I did that. Let me repair it. It can't be like, well, something's wrong with you because you made it and I'm gonna have an excuse for why I took the short road or why I didn't get up and do anything. And we don't have spaces where we can say that to each other in real time, not in I'm a victim time. And then like, you know what? I'm gonna be a woman about mine. I'm gonna be a man about mine. I know when I was out there doing something, somebody had to pick up the slack for me slacking. I lived through the crack era. So to me, the crack era wasn't a time period that was like, oh, it just happened. No, I watched whole families disappear. I watched people sacrifice and help other people's children, and then they died and couldn't take care of their own. But we act like that didn't exist, and we're going to put that on the man. But it's like, no, something happened that we fell into those things. What was happening inside of us? And the flip side is happening right now. We have an elite group of Black people act like they're speaking for all the Black folks. You know what I mean? And you ask them right now, I'm great, you're influential. Show me one clinic you opened. Let's look at people who did that back in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, because I was there with some of these people who said, hey, our healthcare is bad. Let's open the clinic. Hey, our schooling is bad. Let's build a school. Let's go make white people feel bad that they ain't going to hire me. Where's your building tool? You got more tools than we've ever had. At some point, the buck stops with us.
Yeah.
With that.
So when you look at that Biden, I don't care who is Biden. I don't care. I really prefer Donald Trump. I couldn't vote for. I couldn't bring it to myself to vote for the man. So I voted for Jill Stein. But my thing is, I can always do better directly with the devil. I don't know about frenemies. I can't work with frenemies. I can't. It's just too stressful. But the devil I can work with because I know he's the devil and I don't expect nothing from him. So I can run fast as hell when I see the devil. I can run faster than I've ever ran. But I can't do frenemies because they slow you down. They want to
I don't think that's the dynamic, right? We have a lot on our plate as a people.
What we have a lot on our plate, Keon? What do we got on our plate?
We internally, internally, everything you just named. We have so many internal politics. We have so many internal politics as well as dealing with the external, right? Everything that's coming at us from outside and everything that's coming that that's in the house, and yeah, it's really a lot.
We do have a lot on our plate. I need to help Keon out.
Yeah, you see, I'm trying to find. We do from the outside. We got shit coming from outside. We got mold on the inside.
Yeah, I'm a Black woman. That's all I know.
but we
All
got
I'm
a lot
trying
of
to do
things
is cook,
because
run,
of,
and eat at the same time. That's all I know.
but we sit in a lot of challenges because of history and because of not, trying to get ourselves out of it. So, for example, we struggle economically a lot in certain communities, and inside those communities, we were placed in places that cause us to be sicker. We don't sometimes make, schools are funded based on property tax, and in our communities, property tax is an issue. So we have poor resource schools. A lot of our schools are underperforming, come out not prepared to move forward. Our health is bad. Our job, reality is bad. So we sit with a lot, but the good news is we can get out of it. If we, the things that we talk about now, like if we just, Rolanda, I know you work with me sometimes in Marin City, and Marin City is beautiful, but it's the area in Marin, one of the richest counties in California, where the projects are, and the children were taught to know that they live in the projects. Now, never mind, these projects are in the middle, right behind the Golden Gate Bridge. It's stairs that go up to the National Forest. It's beautiful greenery everywhere. They had been programmed to know that they lived in the hood, and because they did all of these things were going to happen. I used to tell them all the time, because one child said to us one time, it was dirt, all trash in front of his house. On Tuesday, the people come to clean that up. I was like, you live here today. This is only the hood because that's what you think it is. And because the hood don't have to be a bad thing. But we've been, we think negative, and somebody else is going to pick up our trash. But so we can change all of these things today. Because we live in these communities don't mean we can't clean them up. It don't mean we can't grow stuff. It don't mean that we can't think about life and want to eat better. There's an opportunity for us to be accountable and thrive. But because we haven't been able to use our mental space because we're distracted all the time with other people's business, we haven't been able to build that. And really, I'd like to see, it's people like us on this call, our age group, that could just go out there and start doing it. We just gonna pick up, join me. And people would come and join. They ain't never seen that.
And that's how we act as human beings. We absolutely would. And we make poor decisions under desperation, right? And part of that accountability piece, Roland, I see your face, but I'm talking about accountability. We make poor decisions under desperation. And this desperation that we under, let's be honest, it's by no fault of our own. We are enemies behind, we're prisoners behind enemy lines for the last 400 plus years. And we are put in a lot of situations that we exist in, and we make poor decisions, rash decisions out of desperation. Now, yes, we must take accountability for those things, but I think it's not fair to just say, we make poor decisions and just blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? There's reasons why these things come up. My family came up in the 80s. We immigrants. I'm first generation American. All right. My family came to the United States as immigrants in the 60s. In the 60s. We had hard workers. We had people who worked very hard, and traditionally those were the women in our family, and the men went the other route. Streets, crack, cocaine, drugs. It's historical articles in the New York newspapers about my family, men that I knew came up under. I mean, documented history. And the American dream and have to get it right now and trying to do for our family. We made a lot of poor decisions under that. Do I think we need to have room for reconciling, forgiveness amongst ourselves? Yes. Must we be gentle with ourselves? Yes. But it's also, the flip side, we got to be harsh we got to be hard on ourselves in other areas.
Right, some expectations.
Well, it's real clear that we are mad at each other. You can just tell.
Yeah.
We have not forgiven each other in centuries at this point. We are very upset. I know everybody sitting on here, the person who made you the most upset within the last 30 days looked like
somebody you love.
Guaranteed.
Somebody you expected more from, right? Somebody you love.
Yeah, I mean, we have to get past that part. I know for myself personally, the person who's pissed me off the most recent times looks like me. The person I was most disappointed in, person I was most frustrated with, person I was most hurt by, all of that. They look like, and we have to get past that part. We don't have forgiveness for each other right now. So I think that's a starting place. That's definitely a starting place for me.
I agree. I think, and I agree with everybody. I love these conversations, but I think before we can get past something, we got to first admit it. And Black folks, we don't like to admit stuff. We like to brush over that hard part, and that's why we keep doing these do-overs. So when we talk about like, hell, my ancestors were enslaved in Fairfax County, Virginia. My family didn't come to America; they were enslaved in America. I can tell you the plantation they walked off from Fairfax County, Virginia. My great grandmother was born in 1817. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody has a story, but I think that the hardest thing about being a part of a group that has no accountability, you can never get anything done. You know, in Africa, when they had those Rwandan genocide, when they had that whole thing with Rwandans were killing other Rwandans because they were from different tribes, they have to sit down with each other and really have tribunals with each other. We have never done that, but yet we talk in this oneness, like if we're all like we did that already. I've really heard a drug dealer apologize for what he did to his community. I heard him put it on other people, but I've never met one drug dealer in my whole life say he was sorry that he pushed drugs on his own community. I've never met him. Sincerely, I haven't. I'm telling you what I have. I can't speak for what you've done, what you know. I'm telling you, I haven't. But I have seen the effects of his need to want to have nice things and what it did to whole communities. I have seen him with that white powder break up a lot of families, and people didn't get to meet their parents. You know, and children didn't get to see their parents or be raised by their parents or get to see their grandchildren. But I have seen that person get out of prison and living his life like he's golden. No apology in hand. Because the government made him sell crack to his own people. So it's kind of like, and so I don't believe in the line that it was us and them. All I see is another black face doing something to another black face. And then I'm supposed to be forgiving you for something you haven't even said you were sorry for. We haven't had that in the black community. We haven't. You can't tell me we've had. We have never had a tribunal where we sit down with the person who sold crack to your mama.
Well, I think that's part of the organization that we love.
I've never seen it.
No, but actually, I believe we need that. We absolutely.
I haven't seen it yet because I think that's a part of the healing. Then you could talk about forgiveness, but if you don't talk about what happened, how can we ever heal?
Well, white folks trying to do that with us, and we just got on to it. Restorative justice.
Yeah, I'm not even with them. I almost don't expect much from them, honestly. You know, it's like
thinking about the teacher that tried to pull you into.
I was not going to do it. I was not going to do it with it. You know, I wasn't. I left it to Javon, but Javon jumped in and saved me because she, you know, I was like, you ain't got shit to say to me. I was like, this is my boss. This is Javon. Talk to her. But I just don't have energy. But I think with black folks, I think the hurt comes is when that we know we don't have a place where even if we were trying to get it right with each other, or we won't even take the time to do that. Because we feel like it's our right to hurt you and you should be okay with it. That's what's painful to me. It's painful when you can't, you know, you can't sit down with your person and say what happened between y'all, and then that person take accountability. Sometimes the accountability is saying, I'm so sorry, but we won't even say that. It's like, you be like family. It's okay that I shot you in the foot. It's okay that I destroyed the whole neighborhood that been black all of this time, and everybody got on crack and sold their houses. That's okay. You know, I was a victim myself. Like, that's not an apology. Mm-hmm. That's not an apology. That's not.
That's the old we game. I know.
Hate each other.
And I know a lot of us may feel that way because we weren't taught that. My father was disciplined because he was military. But my mother was like, girl, you know they mean better. I'm like, no, I need to tell them. My dad used to always tell us, you know, you have to give people the fair right to tell them why you're mad. People don't know why you hurt them. But excuse me, when we don't live by morals and values, we don't know. So Javon was making, excuse me, y'all. Javon had made some good points about oh, excuse me, y'all. It was quiet all the time. Now I'm choking up.
Get some water in there.
Right? Coffee, junkie.
Give one good strong cough. That'll take you like from the diaphragm.
While she's playing out her diaphragm, I do think that that's a part of the work. Sacramento has more nonprofits than Washington D.C., but I have yet to see us even put that together in Sacramento with all the you meet a black person, they got a goddamn nonprofit. It's like saying I got a dog in my yard.
I'm a new one.
We all got dogs. Yeah,
we got one
but
more.
I haven't seen that. Yeah, I'm saying I know, but hey, all of us on here got one. Damn near. So, but I'm saying we have yet to create that, because if we're talking about black people being able to move forward, there has to be some real work done between us, not other people, not white people constituting what that looks like with the rules that they came up with because they done created this madness. Not that. I'm talking about something with us. And I don't know if because we don't have neighborhoods anymore, we don't have Big Mama and Granddaddy, like they don't exist, because they used to make you sit down and be like, look, you ain't talk to your sister in 3 months. What the hell going on? You know what I mean? Like, they make you sit down. Maybe that's part of it. Maybe it's really finally broken. I don't believe that. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that out there. Like, how do we get to that since we are all that we have?
Hey, Rogue, you know the only place that I know of that I saw where they actually atoned for all the atrocities. I looked at this documentary on Rwanda.
Yes,
and
I talked about that.
And all of those people, I mean, it just helped them as a country and as a nation by making sure that those people were held accountable for all of those atrocities. And now they're a thriving nation. So we know that it works when it's done effectively, when it's done correctly.
Yeah.
When it's done correctly.
I was saying that when it was out there in Rwanda, they talked about these are people who butchered and murdered people's family members.
Let me say this.
Genocide.
And with that being said,
across from the person that murdered their family.
That's deep.
And are they not one? Right? The worst thing you can do. I mean, there's so many different things. There's so many different things, different ways to offend one another. One of the worst things you can do is take life, right? Of loved ones and so on and so forth. The fact that they were able to come back together as one. Now they were split in their politics and their actions that caused them to do such atrocities. Huh?
I said they still a little split. I mean, they're not perfect. They still struggling, but it's enough where their country is doing well. You know what I'm saying? They still have their differences.
Okay, and that's all right to have our differences.
Yeah,
but
they still have.
They know, but they know that they're in a better place after that tribunal, right?
Right.
So again, back to us, right? And with all of our differences, it does take that big sit down. And that's not an outside thing. That's definitely in-house work. That's definitely in-house work. And until we get to that point, I don't think we're going to actually move in, forward as far as we can.
Yeah, I was just trying to answer when Brother Darius talked about, it seemed like we're mad at each other. The answer is yes. I wasn't denying that at all. My answer is yes. Some of us are still mad, especially when people get out of jail and they walking around breathing and eating and acting like, oh, well, I'll just pay my time to the state, but you didn't pay the time to the people that you offended. See, that's something's wrong there. You basically went to jail because the white man was like, okay, Negro, you didn't pay taxes on your drug money, whatever it was, you didn't do, but you did not make an amends to that family. The tribunals were powerful because that person had to stand before that whole family. It wasn't that he was in court with a bailiff. They was on lawns, or what we would consider a lawn, holding court. You understand what I'm saying? That's like that ain't like the white man making you be accountable. That's like you have to be accountable to your people. See, then they can say that they are a people because that's how they're rolling. We only get to get people when the white man come, and then you got to man up because you're afraid of this fool, not because you really care about what you did to me. You're afraid of the boogeyman because he done showed up with his guns.
Exactly.
But if you was sorry, you would have just came to me or something or figured some way to make an amends for that. I was watching Rock the other day. I love Rock. I love his own reruns. I love Rock. They were kind of doing that with his show. When you watch, he had the big drug dealer, and then, you know, it was that dude, the one that, you know, you have to watch it. It was actually whoever was producing the Rock show was doing some really radical stuff when it's writing. Like, it was really good. That was kind of like an example of like when that dude had to go tell another young brother that was following his example, like, man, this ain't the way. You apologize to this woman that you murdered her son. You apologize to her. You write her as many times as you can to say you sorry. See, no white man can make you do that in your own heart. We give him credit for a lot of things, but we don't give him credit for making us come back to say sorry to each other. Maybe that's what I should be asking white people to do. Maybe we got to tell white people to tell us to stop using the word nigga, because we probably would do it if he say it. I'm not saying I don't really care, but I'm just saying it seems like when he say do something, then you do it, because we give him a credit for a lot of stuff that we do. Because maybe he needs to tell you what to do. I'm being sarcastic when I say that. But sometimes it feels like, you know, if we can't hang it on him, then we can't get anything done. That's kind of like with this next election that's coming up. Like, for instance, not to block you out, Javon, but in Sacramento, we have a DA's race. I'm supporting one person for DA because I like her, because I know her. But I don't really know what a DA can really do. Because it seems like when you're in that position, you got to go against the police if they're wrong. And I don't think that's, yeah. So for those of you who are here in Sacramento, how do you feel about that DA race?
She's the district attorney and not our attorney, right? She's still part of the state. No, real shit, right? So it's all politics. Ain't nobody.
She's a black woman, but she's a black woman, and it's an Asian man. So you have two so-called minorities.
Okay, so I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, and she needs to show and prove what she get in there, right? She has my vote. She's a black woman, off top. But again, you know, so
Keon, you mute. You mute. There you go. Go ahead.
No, that's not me. It's trying to find my thought. As it pertains to this, you know, the black. What's her name? What's the sister who's running name?
Oh God, this is bad. Hold on. I know.
Okay, don't matter. Never mind. So, you know, a black DA, would she be considered the first black woman DA?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so boom. All right, so boom. We're gonna shatter her glass. We're gonna put her in there. Now, whether she show her ass and work out for us, but again,
Alana. Alana's her name. That was gonna kill me. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't trying to put you on the spot with
I forgot her name. It just jumped on my brain.
I was asking what her name was, right? But then she's a DA. She's the top cop. You know what I mean? What does that mean? Does that mean she's Kamala too? Is that what that means? You know what I mean? So, because I'm anti-police as it is. So I'll be you know, real shit. So me voting for her or anybody else, is anti what I stand for. But for the sake of the people, put a black woman in there, right? Everything right now, put the black woman.
If you don't go right, you're gonna be more mad at black people if she don't do a job.
If she don't do a job, no, it'd be like, okay, I did my part. Vote, black woman. You know, I put her in. My thing is, it comes back to us and what we gonna do as a people, right? She could do her job as a DA, but what does internal policing look like, or internal government look like? How do we govern ourselves that, you know, the majority of people that pass through her office don't look like us? Are we capable as a people of coming together and governing ourselves and, you know, putting together mandates and rules, policies to point where we govern ourselves, that by the time, you know, somebody does come across our office, the numbers of us passing her, you know, having to do with her is minimal to none? Can we do that?
But what do you do in the meantime while you figuring out whether or not you can govern yourself? What happens? You see, our DA is facing a recall because, you know, he is many people believe we have a real problem. I'm sure you all know about it, but the Tenderloin community, the mayor just declared an emergency down there to kind of do something to address the open drug abuse, the homelessness. Like it looks like places that I've been to that they call third world countries that I don't want to do. But right here in downtown San Francisco. So because the the defunding of the police, that movement got to be so intense and very lopsided here, people didn't want anything to do with the police, right? Which you know we haven't had the best relationship with police, but it was like we don't want anything to do. Well, in the Tenderloin, where the homeless people have been more compacted, like as we build and renew, they have less land to be on. There is really a tent city on the street. It's feces everywhere, it's urine everywhere, and it's open drug use. They've decided that they don't want to prosecute drug use because it's a symptom, right? I've never in my life, and I came through the crack generation, I've never in my life seen so much open drug use. I see at least 50 heroin users a day and 50 people smoking meth out on the street. And if the police walk by them, they will not do anything because the city has decided they don't want to prosecute drug use. Now, I don't use drugs and I don't sell drugs, but walking down the street, I can tell who's selling the drugs and who's using the drugs. In this case, it's a Honduran gang that has every corner on lock in the Tenderloin, openly selling drugs. I got a problem with that because
neither of it is okay.
Black people can police the community to protect other Black people, because in San Francisco, if you're Black, you're 7 times more likely to be home, or among the homeless population, Black, 7 times more, right? So these gang members are selling drugs to our community, and they're living in a tent on the street, can't get out of it, openly being able to use. Nobody wants, in my opinion, you please take my cousin to jail so she'll have a chance to get well and not overdose. We had 700 people overdose on the streets last year, and you got a DA who's not out there trying to work in partnership with the police and the mayor to make sure that we can clean this up. How do you let a Honduran gang openly sell drugs to Black people? And then there's Black people working in the streets, cleaning up poop and doing all that, but you can't go over and be like, no, man, that's you can't sell drugs, sir. Like, so I'm conflicted, right? Because I want policing to be done right, and I would love community policing. But what do you do in the meantime? Yeah. This is what the other side looks like. This is like when you say, I don't want nothing, and now we got a huge problem. Now we've declared an emergency, and now they're trying to go clean it up, and all the liberals are like, we don't want anything done. I have every meeting I go to, I have to bring that up. Like, I think that there are a lot of voices who are not native to this area who talk politics with us, and the politics they talk are not good to Black people because we're the ones that are out here living in the tents, and we don't do shit like that. Like somebody got to mandate something for us. I just got finished telling somebody they got all this harm reduction stuff. We don't do well with a little bit of heroin. That's just not who we are. If we put a beat to it, like we can't do a little bit of nothing. We got to go cold turkey, and somebody have to mandate us. But they don't want to mandate anything out here. They don't want anything to do with the criminal justice system. And on the streets, our people are dying. And the DA is, one of the ones who's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm with the people. Somehow that's being with the people. I'm conflicted behind that.
It's a weird space. It's a weird as hell space. I know what you mean. Because much as I said I'm anti-police, I am. But as it stands, right, as policing, as I know it, as we know what it is, I'm definitely for police reform. And what do we do in the meantime? That's a cold question. That's a very cold question. Because it looks like
the thing about it though is that's not policing. The answer to that is not in the policing. It's in the social services that should come along with those things. We walk by people every day that we know need help, and that the answer and the help that they need is not in the criminal justice system. It's more in how are we providing service to those people. We have to open back up facilities that treat people for mental illness and for substance abuse and things like that. We have to train people to be therapists and be counselors, and we have to open those rehabilitation centers and get those people off the street. Locking them up is only going to make them worse. It's only going to make the situation worse. But we're unwilling to help people, like just as a government, as people who go to work every day, we're unwilling to help those people. And that's really where the answer is. It's not, to me, in my opinion, it's not in the policing of or the enforcement of or the jailing of. It's in providing the service to those communities that those people need to transition into something better. And we're unwilling to do that. There's no way that many people should be homeless on the street from here to the Bay Area, and we don't have any kind of shelters. We don't have any kind of anything to provide services for those people. Like that's me. That's what
I mostly agree with you, but I think that there has to be diversity in purpose. Some people need to go to jail, and we just got to say it. Most people we can get. No, I'm serious. Many people can go into programs, and it's not true that we don't have shelters. We have many shelters. We are afraid to mandate a person in a shelter. So we'll go up to somebody openly using on the street and say, we need to get you off the street. You can't be here. And they have a choice to say no, because I want to use drugs. Sometimes, Darius, I mean, you got to let a person get in their right mind before you offer them something. We do have we have a lot of money out here. We have a lot of places for them to go, but we have allowed a person who needs time to get their thoughts right to make decisions that they're incapable of making. So I can't give you housing when you're high out of your mind. I walk outside at 5 a.m. We just have people bent over, just stuck, right? I can't talk to you then. And if I can't get you in line to talk to you, then we're not going to make any progress. So if you say, okay, this person can't make a decision for themselves, I got a program for them, but they're going to have to go, because you can't defecate on the streets. You can't put a tent here, because there's also a public health issue for the rest of us. Like, right, our children should be able to play in the park. It shouldn't be full of tents and defecation. That's what our city has become. I don't know about your city, but there has to be balance, right? Dude, if you can't do this, so I'm a man. I got choices for you. I got a house for you, but you either gonna go in that program, or I'm gonna come back out and I'm gonna see you openly using drugs again. I'm gonna take you to jail and give you some time to think about it. I just think it has to be dynamic. Our problem is with the over criminalization of people, with Black people not being treated fairly, with sentences. If that's the problem, then let's reform the jail. The way they're all of these programs need to be in the jail, rehabilitating people, so we get you out. We don't criminalize you. We don't make you have a record. We don't stop you from getting a job, but we got to sit you down for a minute and maybe put you in orange because you're not listening. And you cannot live on the streets, because that is death for you. We are watching people slowly die. They were on the news the other day saying the Tenderloin Lincoln Center stopped 2 people from having an overdose. Well, if they weren't in an environment where they could use and be watched, we wouldn't even have that possibility of an overdose. So I think our voices are lost. Like, there's not dynamics in approach. There's not multi approaches or many approaches. Like, there's just people are like, I don't want jail, or I want this. But we have to have a little bit of all of it, because some of our people are hard-headed, and we're going to have to admit it.
I agree.
Sit in jail for 2 weeks until we clean you up, and then we're going to come back to you and say, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have this. Why have you in this controlled environment? I'm going to make sure you get out like this, this, and that. And then we're going to put you in a program. But guess what? You can't leave, because you're not really good at making decisions right now. But if you roll with me for a year or a year and a half, which is what it's going to take, then we got you. You have housing. We're putting people in houses that are heroin addicts so that they could just be homeless the next. We're giving you a room so you can go act a fool in an SRO, and then we'll see you again next month, because you can't maintain housing when you're a heroin addict to that degree. To the degree that they're on the street. So I'm saying, like, yes, I hear you. We do need to get more of services, but we have to decide where we're going to put them, and we have to have levels to this, because we got some bad actors who don't want no help. And these people aren't from here. They come here. I talked to some people last week from Pennsylvania, New York, and one dude was from Germany. They come here to be homeless because they got services. The weather is better. Like, it's a whole host of people.
I want to be homeless when the weather good at.
It's the people that we have right now engaging them in law enforcement that's the problem, because that's not their primary purpose. That's not what they're there to do. So we definitely agree. It's levels to it. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That
Thank
was
you.
good.
I lead an organization that we have a street crisis response team here that was funded partially because of some of the defunding of the police. And so we have a team that goes out with the paramedics, with the fire department, and we send a peer worker, and they do engage them. And I will say that we don't have all the housing we need, clearly, but we do have shelters. But the numbers of people who say, I'm not going, and the numbers of those people who say, I'm not going, that don't want to go because they don't want to follow rules is astounding, because the truth is we know that nobody, not none of us, not none of them, will be successful if you can't follow rules. And instead of making people come up to our like this is where you need to function in society, and I'm talking about those who could, we will bring ourselves down and meet them and say, if you want to do a little bit of drugs, it's okay. Here's how we gonna do it. Or if you want to, you don't have to come and stay with us because you have the right to be on the street. I live in downtown San Francisco. I pay thousands of dollars to live here. If I walk out my house, I can't even stand the smell half the time. It's full of piss, it's poop all over, and I have to navigate people living outside in tents. What about my quality of life?
Yeah.
There's a balance. Why does my grandbaby have to walk by people openly using drugs? So I think I don't know. We kind of went off of the DA,
No.
but I think that the DA matters because we need you to be on our side. But the accountability piece goes in every part of this conversation, because it's back to accountability with that. We have let a bunch of people from the Midwest who moved to San Francisco change our values. I grew up here. This wasn't a place that was like this. And now we have people telling us how to talk to other Black people who we love and care for, and we want them to be safe. And we have people telling us that the best way for them to do that is to let them use drugs in a safe environment. Have that ever been our culture?
Never.
Come on.
Come on, like that ever? That's what we have other people telling us. The only thing that works is harm reduction. That's what my mom, it take my mama. You have to have a whole nother show with my mom, Rolanda, to talk that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
That's that other side. Jamin, I think that's the other side of when we even talk about the defunding of the police. I think we need to, the same thing, we're so quick to get rid of Donald Trump to get Biden.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So and my thing is, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not anti-police and I'm not pro-police, but I know I need police, because if something happened to me, I'm gonna call the police. I'm not calling no brothers, I'm calling the popo. I'll take my chances with the popo. I'm just saying. So we know that we have to have a way of balancing this thing. There has to be balance.
And training and selection. We got to pick people from like right now, we don't want to hire police officers that been through challenges in life, but we know those are the best peer workers, right? It shouldn't be, it's just like in foster care. They sometimes don't want to hire Black men if you have a record, you've been to jail for drugs, right? But we know that the children are products of that, and they need the people who've been through that to be caretakers of them. So we do the same thing with the police. We know some people that would be great police officers, but can't qualify because of their record, but it's the record that would make them superstars. We have to rethink the systems. That's what I'm saying. Jail don't have to go away. We need jail, but we need jails to be places of reform and rehabilitation, right?
Wow.
So this system that we have out here, where we have all these CBOs and nonprofits helping people, they need to be inside the jail, and it needs to be less sheriffs and more people saying, you're gonna learn, you're gonna read, it don't mean jail have to go away, but the way we do things, like the systems that we create, have to change. It seemed like we would have focus on that. Who qualifies to be a police? We all know somebody who would be an awesome police, but can't qualify because they've been in jail, or they have I know many people. I was so frustrated with the foster care system. I'm like, you got all these Black children in foster care, and you won't let a man be a foster parent because he had a crime 10 years ago, 12 years ago. This is the best person to raise this young Black boy. Like, what is up with that? So we allowed him to create and maintain systems that keep us sick. Like, I think we should say, we know some people got to go to jail, and we know if we can't reach you. So if you don't want to go in the program, I'm gonna see you every day and watch you slowly die, because it's one day you're gonna come across some fentanyl and you will not wake up. 700 people had that experience last year, while people debated whether those people were homeless or houseless, because that matters. whether you feel how you feel about your homelessness matters. These people are not us, and we don't do things like that. And we need to be busting through these systems in the meantime to create life, right? To give life. And so for me, when you talk about a DA, those are the conversations that have to happen. It's like, we don't want you to be so liberal that we're dying because we get lost in process. We want you to recognize our culture, and we want to talk about how you're going to prosecute things. What things are you going to bring before us to be prosecuted? Can you help us do some criminal reform where we can include more Black men and more Black women in areas where they haven't been able to be included because of silly policy, because other people are changing and getting policy, and we just go with what they create. We don't look at it and say, this shit is ridiculous. This ain't going to serve nobody. It's going to keep more Black children in foster care. It's going to keep more Black people in jail. We're not having it no more. Like Darius said about the school, like we'll teach our own. But to me, that's the questions that go to the Black DA, because we got a DA out here who can't seem to work, because, you know, it's supposed to be, they set it up like the DA is supposed to be anti this, anti that. But if you working for the people, you figure out how to work together. So you say, listen, Mr. Police, this is how I'm going to work with you as a DA, because we got to make a safe community. We got to quit the politics of it, because we get lost. Other people's communities are more intact, so they don't get lost, but we get lost and all that. And I got to stop talking, because, you know, I'll get mad. I'll be getting passionate about stuff.
No, it's good to hear.
No, I'm not.
It's good to hear.
I'm getting excited.
No.
So, Darius, real talk. Darius, what do you think about the DA race? Michelle, what do you think about the DA?
We got all these people over here.
Well, I haven't really been keeping up with the news.
But I'll see you guys later, okay?
Okay, Darius. Hold on. Go ahead,
Well,
go
I
ahead,
haven't
Michelle.
really keeping up with the DA race. I haven't been keeping, but I did see the sister, and I will, you know, be checking her out. And if you're voting for her, I think that's pretty confident. I probably will too, and support her. But you know, I can't stand the current DA.
Schubert.
Oh, I can't stand that woman. But that's about all I know about it. But I will look more into it. You guys have to excuse me. I've been up since 1, so I'm dragging.
No worries, no worries, no worries. So we heard about the DA. Last thing, so in the next 2 years or so, the presidency will be coming around again. What do you think should be an ask, or what should we do about that?
Honey, I am scared to death about what's going to happen in 2024. My daughter read an article, and she read an article. Global Research is a really good. I don't know if you guys are aware of a company called Global Research, but they put down the news. So check them out. But it was an article that other countries are really restructuring their government to deal with a dictatorship in 2024. So that's kind of, you know, as an African American, where are we going to be in this?
Some going to be on that side, and some going to be on this side.
Damn Wild Wild West, we better try to learn how to do the Blood Club and learn how to shoot.
I mean, and that's it, right? It don't matter who's gonna get in the office, because like I said again, it never mattered. It's about what are we going to do? Are you going to learn how to plant something and grow something? Are you going to learn how to yield something? Are you going to learn how to aim? How many guns you got in your house? I think that's what matters. I think that's what really matters. Nothing else does. It's about how are we organizing amongst ourselves. Every last presidency, every last person that's been in that office, it never mattered. It never mattered, and it's never going to matter. I think unless we literally, you know, have a baby, somebody have a baby, and we're actually grooming this person, right? We tell them everything we need out of them. We're grooming them to actually take that office one day and finally put a person that we reared and grew and put in the office and voted. It's not going to matter who runs in that office. It's going to matter how prepared we are as individuals and collectively.
So you know, Ice Cube had the contract with Black America. You know, the last election, he came up with something, not just him by himself, but it was a team of them. And of course, Black folks acted like, you know, he shouldn't have did that or whatever. And then Biden said, yeah, I'll meet with you, you know, if I win this election. Of course, this 4-1, it was like Negroes will take a seat somewhere. Should we be looking at that again? And what can we learn from what we didn't get last time? Or it don't matter?
I'm not going to look at it again. I can't talk about what I'll do until I see what comes forward. Next time, I know that my focus is on creating for my family and my community. I bought a farm. I am growing things, and I just was showing you. I just got the chicken egg containers that I'm gonna be using to get the label on them. But I'm really gonna focus on that. I think in the last 2 years, we've seen with our own eyes a government overreach that is concerning. I think now that the government has been able to do what they want to do and mandate certain things, that we'll see more things like that happen in other areas, leaving very little choice for people to say no to things. Because once you head down that road, it's been a large experiment that's been happening with us, and some of it has been social science. How do the people respond? When you tell them this, when you do this, when they don't have that. And so for me right now, one of the most important things is that I make myself as sustainable as possible, right? Like I can't fully be sustainable. Even if you own a house, right? You still got to pay property taxes. It's never fully yours, but to the degree that I can feed myself and I can learn how to make things and be sufficient for myself and my family, I will be planning that. And then healing through that. I talked to you about some retreats and just being able to sit in circle with community and talk about the psychological warfare that has happened to us for the last 2 years, because that has been heavy. And most of the time when I talk to people, that's what they talk about. Like, this is going on and this is going on. And there's such a contrast, with you. I've been out of the country twice in the last 12 months. And what's happening here is not happening there. So whether it was when we were in Haiti, whether it was when we were in Ghana, we don't have a ticker at the bottom of the TV telling us how many people got COVID to date and how many people this and that, and it's not happening. And so I just had a lot of thoughts around that, and I told myself that I have to really be planning and put my money where my mouth is and manifesting some of the things that have been important, because I'm really not going to focus on, I think it's hilarious. I think Trump might run again. I think they're trying to do everything they can to
stop him, but he gonna do it.
Right. But I think that and Biden and the things we talked about make it possible for someone like him to win, because the middle of the country is not happy with the East Coast and the West Coast, and they're voting based off of not feeling included. We talked a little bit, you referenced, white people who are poor, and, it's poor white people, Black people everywhere, but there's, they're grouped in rural America, and they're not being seen and they're not being heard, and they're voting, that's the way somebody like that wins. And I don't see anything that happened different to take that desire from them. And I actually think, that as we grow and try to be self-sufficient, we're going to have to share resources and learn a few things from them, because in fair disclosure, when I got on the farm, that's how I started learning how to shoot and everything, because there are people who have, my neighbors, who have been doing this and who know how to grow something and know how to do something. And I'm trying to share and partner with people who are going to help me be a better resource for myself, my family, and my community. So I'm not picking and choosing. I'm working with people who want to work with me. And
So
that's
as far as
moving forward.
what right now, Javon, I might have an opportunity for you. I just got a homeboy. He's fairly young. I think he's within my age range, maybe a little bit older, maybe a little bit younger. But he just bought like hella property and got a big ass farm. Super Bowl Sunday, I'm going down there to check him out, and just spend some time and see it for myself. But we're definitely gonna need some direction in terms of how to develop that and begin to be self-sufficient. I don't got enough money to buy a farm, right? But my homeboy got one. I'm down with sweat equity. I'm down to go over there and help him put in my work, and in that way, because I'm over here talking about, well, we need to learn how to farm ourselves. Like I got money and got land. I don't got none of that shit, but I could plug in with the people that I know and love and trust, and got that, and put, and get to
And,
work
and,
in.
and ask for an area to grow. Sorry,
Yeah.
ask for an area to grow. So, it's all about when we run into this situation again, and we will, you being able to feed yourself. Also, there's so much information out there about devious actions that are about to happen to the food chain, about adding medicinal things to the food supply, about GMOs. Like, it's so important today that we think about feeding ourselves and our community. And this is a conversation that's going on. I will say I connected, a lot of people to groups. There are lots of Black people who are talking about this. There are lots of Black people that are buying land and that are sharing resources. I'm really excited about it. And that's one of the things, like, sweat equity is important, and it secures you and your family spot when you need to have somewhere to go in a time of emergency is really important.
And another thing you can do is also you can rent a piece of plot from the community, from the city, for $50, and they'll give you the water and sometimes even the seeds. And that's what I do. I rent different little plots around the city, and I plant food. And I use my yard too.
Be careful with the seeds. Be
Huh?
careful with the
Oh
seeds.
no, no, I don't use the genetically modified ones. No. I gotta show you. Wait a minute.
Okay.
But that's where I'm really excited about it too, and trying to learn as much as I can.
Right on. I feel like
You know what? Even January 6th, I'm sorry, I was saying January 6th, when they stormed that Capitol, I was jealous of them. I was jealous of them. I was jealous. I was like, God damn. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michelle. I'll come back to my thought.
No, I was just showing you the seed catalog. This is
I was just on their site earlier today. First of all, I love those sunflowers on the front, but they had a carrot the other day that looked so amazing. Anyway, I love them.
Oh, I got Okinawan spinach, 3 leaves. It's supposed to get rid of your cholesterol as long as you change your diet. So my husband has cholesterol, and it always tests negative because we changed our diet, and it's just 3 leaves in a salad, and it grows magnificent. You can just plant it, and it just reap. It's a perennial. I
need to get my cholesterol down. The doctor told me.
Well, you need to be hooking up with Michelle.
I'll be on a mission to get Black men healthy. We need y'all.
Right.
So I need to plug in with you, Miss Michelle.
Please. My husband had 2 heart attacks and an aneurysm, and it's just he's a very tall man, and I didn't realize he didn't know that tall people sometimes they suffer these things, because he's 6'7". So sometimes you just have a larger heart. It's what the doctor said. So I don't know, because we really take care of ourselves. But we can get your cholesterol down. But you gotta follow the diet. And it's a guy, I'm gonna tell you this though. My friend is a guy in Albany down in San Francisco, an Asian guy that I've been going to. His name is Dr. Jane. This man is the truth. My friend had diabetes. She almost died. She was taking 5 shots of insulin. She went there. Now she takes his pills and she followed his diet. She's completely off the shots. And the doctors kind of figure out, where did the diabetes go?
And what kind of doctor is he?
He's a what do you call it?
Naturopathic?
Naturopathic doctor, 7th generation.
Yes.
Yes, and he is the truth. He got a hospital in China, and he goes work there, and so he splits his time up between America and China.
Right on.
But he can get your cholesterol down.
I'm gonna go see Dr. Pathologist. What's his name? Dr. Path.
I'll get information to Rolanda.
Yes.
Yeah. So I need you on them greens. I need you on them greens.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll everybody's information. Right on.
Please.
So as we wrap up, I guess I really do have to ask y'all about the storming of the Capitol. Let's wrap up with that.
Girl,
I did see one Black man there. I see the documentary, and I did see one Black man there, at least.
That Sammy Davis Jr. looking nigga. Oh, excuse me.
You know what?
No, this was a big. It was a big Black brother. I seen.
It was
the
good.
documentary on A&E or whatever that was.
His
Oh,
dumb
Netflix,
ass was there
whatever
for the
it was.
wrong reasons. His dumb ass was there for the wrong reasons.
So
But he was there.
He was there storming, trying to break into that tunnel. Y'all see the fight in the tunnel? Where they almost beat the cop to death, and then he said he had children, and they pushed his ass back to the.
Listen, man, I was like, what the hell they mad at, right? But whatever their reasons is, I love the fact that they moving their convictions, and I believe that should have been us a long time ago. No matter what it would have cost, you know.
No,
We
hold
could buy
on.
the
Keon,
What?
if
What?
they had seen them many black people, they would have opened them fire.
They
All right,
would
whatever,
have
shot
whatever,
one person
whatever,
that day.
whatever. Freedom costs blood. Freedom
What?
costs. That's it's always cost that. Whether it be, listen, it's the facts. It's the facts. That change and that freedom and all that shit that we looking for. This is what when I said earlier on, I'm afraid of what it's gonna take. This is what I'm talking about, though, because it's actually gonna take blood. Nothing changes without that blood sacrifice. And I hate to sound like Illuminati. I hate to sound like Illuminati, but that's always what that's always what it takes to move on your.
What's gonna kill you is your cholesterol.
That's what I was just gonna say. Some of the change, I'm not saying that we haven't had to spill blood to change stuff, but some of the change comes from conversations like the one we just had.
Exactly.
We talk about food in our community and bringing that wisdom back in, and just saying stop eating what you eating. Some of that change. It's not to take away from the idea that we've had to have times where we protest and have bloodshed, but a lot. I would say at this point in the game, with the resources that we have, a lot of the game. A lot of our answer is just an education and doing it. I mean, we just had a conversation about how to change.
That's true.
And so we gotta have more conversation.
I was just jealous that they had the heart to run up on that on that Capitol. We never did it. We should have been done that. I don't care.
We was running away. We are always running away, Keon.
Yeah, and we need to run to it, man. Run to it.
That was.
I was like, damn, man.
We run away from the cops and y'all get shot in the back. Like, look here. You have to watch that documentary when they was fighting those cops. They just let them take it over. And I thought to myself, why ain't they shot any of these people
but
yet?
They feel at home. They feel a place in that. Like, I don't even want to do that. I want to create outside of trying. To me, that still feels like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, stay out of places you're not wanted. Because then you're distracted and you still trying to say, accept me. Why are you doing this? Why, when we could be then had a whole business district. It's like distraction. I don't want to run into the Capitol. I'm not confused at all about what they not doing for me or what they doing for me. It just
that's part of my fantasy, okay? That's part of my fantasy. Y'all want to shut my shit down. I didn't even run up on the Capitol, pow, 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 that's some heroic cowboy shit. I feel you though.
You would not have gotten to the steps.
Okay, I know.
They would have shot you down like a dog. Do you hear me?
But no, you're right, Javon.
Courageous. They don't even shoot dogs down. Like
courageous conversations, informative conversations, education, information. That's really what it takes, and a little bit of blood.
No, right. Well, definitely. It's always, but see, it's always taking blood. If you really know the history of America, of the United States, there's always been bloodshed. The key part that we don't get is that the most revolutionary thing you could do is to take care of yourself. Today in my class, I would have loved my class today with the girls. Oh my God, we got it in. And so one of the girls was saying, well, how do we get white people to see us? And I said, you don't. The best way you can fight this system is to treat each other right, to love each other, to see a reflection of yourself and be like, hey, sis, hey, bro, like acknowledge each other. Because that was their homework assignment for the past 2 weeks, is that they had to acknowledge all black people. They can acknowledge anybody, but especially when you see the black face at your school, say hi. You ain't got to kick them, just say hi. So, so today we went into this whole thing. It was really awesome. We talked about black history and the origins of it and blah, blah, blah. But I would say the best way you can beat this system, the best way.
It's love, self-love.
But not just love, because we've been loving these people our whole life.
That's self-love.
It's to love self and to love the reflection of yourself.
I agree. 1,000.
When we are upset with each other, that's why it runs so deep, because we really do love each other.
Yeah.
That's why we're so mad at each other.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, even a lot of your passion and thing that you that I hear from you, it still sounds like love. It sounds like disappointment. It don't sound like I hate you.
No,
I'm hurt, and you can only hurt me that deep, because I love you.
There you go.
Because I love you. Because I love you.
So why would I want to storm the Capitol? I don't care about these people. I've been scrubbing their floors my whole existence since I've been in this country.
Yeah.
Who you think been cleaning that White House?
Oh no, that just feels a little
Ain't been
liberating,
them.
a little exhilarating, a little exhilarating.
It was
You
fun
know?
to watch. It was. I got
It was.
hella fun to watch. It's like they crazy as hell. They saw themselves as owning enough to do that. Ain't it a trip of how
Yeah,
they thought that was gonna work out for them? Like they really did think it was.
They
It was
thought they
something to
were doing
watch.
it.
yeah,
They
they
were
sure did. The
loose.
white girl got shot in the throat. She, you know, so yeah.
Oh no! What was heroic watching the brother making him go the wrong way?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
Because they was getting ready to walk onto the floor.
He's
Yeah.
good because I would have been in a room like I ain't got shit to do with this. Let me find
Facts.
the closet.
Facts.
I'm not chasing nobody. This don't have nothing to do with me at all. He really is heroic. I don't know what for.
He should have emptied the clip too. He should at least got his clip off and then go hide. You know, I would have got my clip
He's
off.
not trained to do that though. That if
I
there
was in fear for my life. I was in fear for my life.
I would have mowed some of them down. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Their asses. I would have been having target practice.
No, you know what? This wasn't funny, but it was a little funny. Was watching the people hiding out in the room with their dramatic asses. Oh,
Yes,
my God.
buddy.
They come to the door. Would it be black folks were like, I ain't got nothing to do with it. One black lady started praying and help came. Don't tell me about black people. The sister up there on the top, she started praying, and people came in and rescued them.
Wow.
Prayer works.
Everybody else was everybody else was like panicking. Sister started. You can see in the tape. She praying, and then people came in to rescue them to get them out of there. See, she knew
So I want to know.
she started praying.
Did she pray black Jesus, white Jesus?
I was
And
just
I don't
gonna
know.
say.
She prayed. I know that. She prayed that they didn't spray. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm dying to see what black people think of that because we know we should be the people doing that, but
Man,
it's
the funnest day I can remember. Best on TV.
I didn't think it was real at first. I thought it was a joke. I really did. I thought
Listen.
it was a Trump party.
Yeah, that was a movie. That was,
Yeah, I didn't think it was
man,
real. I
they
thought
was
it
all
was a joke.
listen, man.
Like
I
White
just
House Down or something.
I just love people who move on their convictions. No matter what you do, you move on your convictions. And I wasn't really. I was like, what the fuck? But I wasn't mad at them. I'm like, what you got to be mad at that you got to go this far? But I wasn't mad at them for moving on
The
their
only
convictions.
thing I was mad at is that they didn't get treated like they was black people.
That was mad
That was
about
the only thing I was mad at.
I was upset about that. I thought that they should have been handled like they would have handled any other minority. That if it would have been a group of black, a group of Muslims, a group of Mexicans,
Oh,
they
Muslims
would
did
have
blew
been
y'all
dead.
up. That's straight up.
They would have tore them up.
The fear is that we got really close to America stands because people don't really challenge the system like that. Like it's going to be a certain amount of stability and organization here because it's a way things happen. In other countries, they just have a coup. They're going to go kidnap everybody and they're going to. But here, there's a system,
Yeah.
and the honest to God truth is, I'm not sure if I can say that's the only time, but that is, I don't think we've ever been closer to busting up that system than that day, which is why they still talking about it to this day. And those people was gonna make it on the floor, and the people who was making these effed up policies was about to be held accountable. But that doesn't happen in the United States. The one thing we have to stand on is the structure and the organization, or else we any other place.
And the people who was most afraid, Keon, was those Negroes we sent up there to help them hold their system up.
Yeah.
They were afraid out their mind. They wasn't like us sitting at home because they had bought into this system. So they were afraid because their seat was about to get taken.
Yeah. They really were.
Ain't that a different way of looking at it? Because we out here surviving in the mess. But they have a vested seat in that mess.
Yeah.
They had a vested seat. That was some crazy stuff. But what about when they all showed up for JFK down in Texas? That was funny too. JFK, those QAnon, 5,000 of them shooting because they thought JFK was coming back, girl. They said he ain't dead.
Wait, what? I didn't see that.
I didn't see them show up, but I saw a little clip.
You didn't see him, girl? It was 5,000 fools down there. They had showed up down there thinking that JFK was coming back. And the woman said She picked JFK up from the airport, and they had too much wine, and they got drunk, and they couldn't make it.
What?
Can't make this up.
I swear.
Well, I hear some of us say the same thing about Tupac, though.
You cannot make this stuff up, yo. You can't make this stuff up. No, for real.
No, it is insane. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh God.
In America?
I didn't know nothing about that.
Oh,
I had no idea. I never heard of that one, but wow.
yeah, doing none. I wish I had some water. I would have made some money. I would have flew down there and sold them. Think about I would have made some. But them fools believe in JFK. They said that him and Donald Trump was coming back to take the throne. That Donald Trump is some kin to JFK. Girl, that's some crazy. I couldn't even keep up with the wackadoo because it was so good. But
I do think there's a segment in this country who do believe in this American dream that everybody's fighting for.
yeah,
I think that those people really exist. I think they really believe it. That's why
do.
they fight. So that's why they really went down into the Capitol. It
They
wasn't a
feel
reason why we were
entitled
going.
to it.
They feel very entitled to it. Like
They
this is
do.
theirs.
They feel, and yeah, they were.
And they're not giving it up.
And Trump made them feel emboldened. You know, everybody, but those
People
white
just a
people feel
catalyst.
fuzzy.
Because Trump don't want them to have shit either. But he
really don't.
he uses race. That's how a lot of people make it in this country, because they use race. People don't get to get white till they come here. So they,
Exactly.
you can use that in America.
I think it's important that you mentioned that they actually felt like something belonged to them.
Yeah.
That
Even though
that
it's all stolen. But I mean, they think this is my stolen shit. Like this, I stole this, and I'm not giving it back.
They do feel entitled.
Yeah. So I don't know. I feel like sometimes we're always trying to fight to see where we're gonna stand, and whatever's here. It's like we're always fighting just to be sitting on the carpet.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? While they fighting over the whole house, we fighting over will we be welcome in the yard?
yeah.
Can we walk in the yard? Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
I think this is my honest to God truth, because I always enjoy good conversations. I think some of us are doing it. We're just not saying nothing. There's all kind of black farming groups. There's all kind of black militia groups. There's all kind of black, you name it. So some of us are in the time where we're looking for a sign on the idiot box or the internet or whatever. And then there's some people that's like, when you really move, you move in silence. You really don't move where people get to see you moving.
Mm-hmm. They got the Not Fucking Around Coalition. You know,
Oh yeah, they came to Lafayette. I went.
What?
I like that Not Fucking
All right,
Around
but-
Coalition. No Fucking Around Coalition.
All right, well, that dude though, I heard he was like Fed or CIA, something.
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah. All of them were trained in the military. That's how they got their training.
Oh, okay.
But no, here's the thing. But see how immediately we get the word and immediately we get ready to discredit this brother. I don't know him. But my God, let the black people have hope.
Well, I went to see him in Lafayette, which is like unheard of because, you know, they was coming to Louisiana and I had to drive 80 miles just to, you know, just to
see.
And it was something to see in the South.
You are
They
blessed.
didn't know what. They had a drone over. They did not know what to make. It was about, I got a picture on my wall with me and Fitz there. It was about, man, it was hundreds of them. And they just marched. They all was trained. See, I think that makes it scarier too to the people because they all was trained in the military.
Yeah.
And so they left the military and they joined this group. I don't know about
they got the training.
Yeah, I don't know about the inside and out, but
well,
they
if it is government, let's just say that, because people like say this guy's a government agent. We love to like tear it down. But man, here's the idea we keep saying we deserve to have.
Yeah. No, I seen a picture of him with some. I forgot what it was because shit go in and
He
out.
was in the military, but a lot of them are military trained.
No, it was some suspect ass shit that.
No, I'm saying it could be Keon, but here's my thing. It's only to get us the idea. What if all the Crips and Bloods got that as an idea and stop terrorizing each other and said, let's get together and protect our community? What if they just need to see that image?
Yeah.
What if? I'm just saying.
Stop y'all rule.
Because it's just imagery.
I gotta go.
Okay, I'm signing off too. It's 9 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. I gotta go. Thank y'all so much.
I love you guys.
Thank y'all. I'll let y'all know.
I see you.